The real reason you can't stop spending, it's not lack of willpower. You've tried everything. You've made budgets. You've deleted shopping apps. You've promised yourself 100 times that this month will be different. And yet, here you are again, looking at your bank account, wondering where the money went. You feel weak, undisciplined, like you're the problem. But what if you're not? What if the reason you can't stop spending has nothing to do with willpower and everything to do with forces you don't even see? What if you're not failing at self-control? What if you're succeeding at exactly what you've been programmed to do? Because the truth is, your spending isn't random. It's not chaotic. It's not a character flaw. It's a response, a predictable, measurable response to triggers that have been carefully engineered to make you buy. And until you understand what those triggers are, you'll keep blaming yourself for a problem that was never really yours to solve. Let's start with the most important thing. Willpower is not unlimited. It's a resource. And like any resource, it runs out. You use it all day long. At work, in traffic, with your kids, with your partner, with every decision you make, every temptation you resist, every frustration you manage. By the time you get home, you're running on empty. And that's when the spending happens. Not because you're weak, but because you're depleted. This is why you can resist buying things in the morning but cave at night. Why you can stick to your budget for 2 weeks and then blow it in one evening. Why you can say no a dozen times and then suddenly say yes. You didn't lose your discipline. You used it up. And the companies that want your money know this. They know exactly when you're most vulnerable. They know how to wait you out. They know how to make sure their offer is in front of you at the exact moment your resistance is lowest. This isn't an accident. This is strategy. Let's talk about triggers. A trigger is anything that creates the urge to spend. It could be an emotion, a situation, a person, a time of day, a notification on your phone, a commercial, an email, a conversation. Most people have no idea what their triggers are. They just feel the urge and assume it's random. But it's not. If you track your spending and the circumstances around it, patterns emerge. Clear, consistent patterns. You spend when you're bored, or stressed, or tired, or lonely, or celebrating, or sad. You spend after certain types of interactions, after scrolling social media, after a hard day, after a good day, after comparing yourself to someone else. These aren't coincidences, these are triggers, and they're running your financial life without your permission. Here's the key insight. You're not spending because you need things. You're spending because you're trying to feel something or stop feeling something. Shopping is emotional regulation disguised as consumption. When you're stressed, buying something gives you a sense of control. When you're sad, it gives you a momentary lift. When you're bored, it gives you stimulation. When you're insecure, it gives you status or validation. The purchase itself doesn't matter. What matters is the feeling you're chasing. And because that feeling is temporary, you have to keep buying to keep getting it. That's the cycle. And the worst part, it works. Shopping does make you feel better for a moment. That's why you keep doing it. Your brain learns that spending equals relief, and it locks that pattern in. Over time, it becomes automatic. You don't even think about it. You feel bad, you buy something, you feel better. Rinse and repeat. This is why telling yourself to just stop spending doesn't work. You're not addressing the real problem. The real problem isn't the spending. It's what you're using the spending to solve. Let's dig into the most common emotional triggers. Stress is probably the biggest one. When you're overwhelmed, your brain looks for an escape. Shopping provides that. It's a distraction. It shifts your focus from the problem you can't solve to a decision you can make. It gives you a sense of agency in a situation where you feel powerless, but the relief is fake. The stress is still there. You've just temporarily covered it with a purchase. And often that purchase creates new stress because now you've spent money you didn't have or didn't need to spend. Boredom is another major trigger. When you're understimulated, you're Brain craves novelty. Shopping provides that. New things, new dopamine hits, new excitement. It fills the void. But again, it's temporary. The new thing stops being new. The excitement fades, and you're back to boredom, looking for the next hit. Loneliness drives spending too. When you feel disconnected, buying things can feel like connection. You interact with a salesperson. You participate in a brand community. You feel like you're part of something. Or you buy gifts for others as a way to create connection or prove your value. But things don't replace relationships, and spending money to feel less alone just makes you more isolated because now you're also stressed about money. Comparison is deadly. You see what other people have on social media, in real life, at work, and you feel less than. So you buy to keep up, to prove you're successful, to match their lifestyle, to not feel left behind. But you're comparing your reality to someone else's highlight reel. You don't see their debt, their stress, their problems. You just see the surface, and you spend to match a fiction. Reward spending is another trap. You worked hard, you deserve a treat, you hit a goal, you survived a tough week, so you buy something to celebrate. This seems harmless. But if every achievement or hard day triggers spending, you're conditioning yourself to associate money with comfort, and that becomes expensive fast. Then there's identity spending. You buy things that match who you think you are or who you want to be. You're a creative person, so you buy art supplies you never use. You're a fitness person, so you buy gear you never touch. You're a successful person, so you buy status symbols you can't afford. You're not buying things, you're buying a version of yourself, and that version is costing you your actual future. Let's talk about the environmental triggers. These are external factors that push you towards spending. Advertising is the obvious one. You're exposed to thousands of ads every day, on your phone, on TV, on billboards, in podcasts, in emails. Each one is designed to create desire where none existed, to make you feel like you're missing something, to convince you that buying will solve a problem or improve your life. And it works, even when you think it doesn't, even when you think you're immune. Advertising is effective because it's designed by people who understand psychology better than you do. Social media is even worse. It's not just ads, it's your peers, people you know or think you know, showing you their purchases, their vacations, their homes, their lives. And every post is a subtle message. You should have this too. You scroll, you compare, you feel inadequate, you buy. The platform wins, the advertiser wins. You lose. Retail environments are engineered to make you spend. The layout, the lighting, the music, the smells, the placement of products, the sales, the scarcity messaging. Everything is calculated to lower your resistance and increase your spending. Even online shopping is designed this way. One-click purchasing, recommendations, limited-time offers, free shipping thresholds, abandoned cart emails. It's all designed to reduce friction and maximize impulse. You're not weak for falling for this. You're human. And you're up against billion-dollar industries that have spent decades perfecting the science of making you buy. Now let's talk about convenience. The easier it is to spend, the more you'll spend. That's not a moral judgment. That's a fact. When you had to go to a store, find the item, wait in line, hand over cash, you had multiple moments to reconsider. Each step added friction. Each step gave you a chance to think. Now you tap a button and it's done. No friction, no pause, no second thought, just instant gratification. This is why deleting shopping apps helps, why putting your credit card in a drawer helps, why unsubscribing from marketing emails helps. You're not fixing the underlying trigger, but you're adding friction. And friction creates space, space to think, space to choose differently. Let's address the belief that you just need more discipline, that if you were stronger, you'd resist, that this is a personal failing. That's not how humans work. Discipline is useful, but it's not the solution to a systemic problem. You can't willpower your way out of an environment designed to manipulate you. You can't out-discipline a trigger you don't even recognize. What you need is awareness. You need to understand what's driving your spending, not in a vague, general way, but specifically, what emotion, what situation, what time, what thought pattern. Start tracking, not just what you spend, but when and why. What were you feeling? What happened before? What were you doing? Who were you with? What were you thinking? After a few weeks, you'll see patterns. And once you see the patterns, you can interrupt them. If you spend when you're stressed, you need better stress management. Tools, exercise, meditation, talking to someone, journaling, anything that actually addresses the stress instead of covering it. If you spend when you're bored, you need better ways to create stimulation, hobbies, projects, social connection, anything that engages you without costing money. If you spend to keep up with others, you need to examine your values and your relationships. Why does their approval matter so much? What are you actually trying to prove? If you spend as a reward, you need to find non-monetary rewards, time, rest, experiences, things that feel good without financial cost. The point is this: you can't stop a behavior without replacing it. If spending is meeting a need, you have to meet that need another way. Otherwise, you'll just go back to spending. Let's talk about the role of identity. If you see yourself as someone who can't resist a good deal, or loves shopping, or deserves nice things, that identity will drive behavior. You'll spend in ways that confirm your self-concept, even when it hurts you. Changing behavior often requires changing identity. You have to stop seeing yourself as a shopper and start seeing yourself as someone who values financial security, someone who's intentional with money, someone who doesn't need external validation. This isn't about lying to yourself. It's about choosing which story you want to live by, because your identity is just a story you tell yourself, and you can change the story. Here's another uncomfortable truth. Some relationships encourage overspending. If your friends always want to do expensive things, they're a financial trigger. If your family expects expensive gifts, they're a trigger. If your partner spends freely and you feel pressure to match, they're a trigger. You can't control other people, but you can set boundaries. You can suggest cheaper alternatives. You can be honest about your financial goals. You can say no. And if people can't respect that, you need to evaluate whether those relationships are serving you. Let's talk about the sunk cost fallacy and how it drives spending. You signed up for a subscription, you're not using it, but you keep paying because you already spent money on it, and canceling feels like admitting failure. Or you bought something expensive, it doesn't fit your life, but you keep it or buy more things to justify it because you can't accept that the initial purchase was a mistake. This is backwards thinking. The money is already gone. Continuing to spend doesn't get it back. Cutting your losses is the rational move, but emotions don't work rationally. You have to give yourself permission to make mistakes and move on. The cost of holding on to a bad decision is always higher than the cost of admitting it. Now let's address the fear of missing out. FOMO is a powerful spending trigger. Limited time offers, flash sales, exclusive products. The fear that if you don't buy now, you'll regret it later. But here's the truth. You almost never regret the things you don't buy. You forget about them. Life moves on. The urgency was manufactured. The scarcity was fake. Real scarcity is rare. Manufactured urgency is everywhere. And learning to tell the difference will save you thousands. Let's talk about decision fatigue. The more decisions you make in a day, the worse your decisions become. This is why you make impulse purchases at the end of a long day. Why you overspend when you're tired. Why your budget falls apart when life gets chaotic. You can't eliminate decision fatigue, but you can manage it. Make important financial decisions when you're fresh. Automate what you can. Reduce the number of choices you have to make about money. The fewer opportunities you have to make a bad spending decision, the fewer bad spending decisions you'll make. Here's a practical strategy: the 48-hour rule. Before you buy anything non-essential, wait 48 hours. Add it to a list. If you still want it 2 days later and you can afford it, buy it. Most of the time you won't. The urge will pass, the trigger will fade, and you'll realize you didn't actually need or even want the thing, you just wanted the feeling. This simple pause disrupts the automatic response. It creates space between trigger and action. And in that space, you can choose differently. Let's talk about what happens when you start interrupting these patterns. At first, it's uncomfortable. The urges don't go away just because you understand them. You'll still feel the pull. You'll still want to spend. But if you can sit with the discomfort instead of immediately relieving it, something shifts. You realize the feeling passes. You realize you can tolerate it. You realize you don't have to act on every impulse. Over time, the neural pathways weaken, the triggers lose power, the automatic response becomes less automatic. This doesn't happen overnight, but it does happen. You have to be patient with yourself. You have to expect setbacks. You have to understand that behavior change is messy and non-linear. But every time you recognize a trigger and choose differently, you're rewiring your brain. You're building new patterns. You're taking back control. Here's the final piece. Spending isn't the enemy. Money isn't the enemy. The enemy is unconsciousness. Spending without awareness. Spending on autopilot. Spending as a reaction instead of a decision. When you spend consciously, aligned with your values and your goals, there's no guilt. There's no regret. There's just choice. The goal isn't to never spend, it's to spend on purpose, to understand why you're spending, to make sure your money is serving your life, not running it. So stop blaming yourself for lacking willpower. You don't have a willpower problem, you have a trigger problem. And now that you know that, you can do something about it. Identify your triggers. Understand what you're really trying to fix with spending. Find better ways to meet those needs. Add friction to impulse purchases. Build new patterns. Be patient. Your spending isn't a moral failure. It's a learned behavior, and what's learned can be unlearned. You're not broken. You're just responding to a system designed to break you. And once you see the system, you can step outside of it. That's where real freedom begins.